Coming up on this edition of the RCWR Show Extra, talk about a historic week as the Supreme Court have ruled in favor of same-sex couple marriages, making it legal to get married in all 50 states in North America. I will give you guys my take on the news. Speaking of news, we have a couple of TNA departures. I don't know if this is truth or if it's bogus, but we're going to break it down for you guys. Couple of names that may surprise you as far as those that could possibly be leaving the organization after this Sunday Slammiversary event. Speaking of Slammiversary, it was a move that was heard amongst the wrestling community this week as a shocking return by TNA co-founder Jeff Jarrett to the organization, as he's going to be taking part in one more match at Slammiversary. We'll break it down and also tell you how it all came about as far as Jeff Jarrett returning to the organization. Also, Bill Cosby's lawyer has spoken out about a case that was apparently settled sometime in the early 2000s that could come back to exploit Bill Cosby in a negative light. I'll give you guys the details on that one. Also, for you Netflix fans, you Marvel fans out there, the second season of Daredevil is a long way from premiering, but we're hearing buzz right now that the Punisher could be playing a key role for the second season of Daredevil on Netflix. Hey, in case you don't know who has been cast as the Punisher, oh, you want to hear the news on that one, we got the skinny for that. Also, Bret Hart calling Samoa Joe's finisher, the Muscle Buster, reckless after Tyson Kidd was injured by that move. Is that move reckless? Does it need to be banned? I will give you guys my take on that one. You may be a little bit surprised at my answer. It's a jam-packed edition of the RCWR Show Extra. Boys and girls, it begins right now. Let's do this. And it is your host right here, the one and only Black Avenger, aka the Black Azrael Lee Sanders. Thank you all so much for checking out this extra edition of the RCWR Show, coming at you this June 27th, 2015. Remember to follow us all throughout social media. Share this edition of the RCWR Show Extra many ways. Google Plus it, Facebook it, retweet it. One of the many ways you can spread a good word about all of our content. But most importantly, make sure you hit that subscribe button. A lot of news to jump into. Let's go ahead. Let's jump right into it. All right. So this week, the Supreme Court made a huge ruling, and if you're a Democrat, if you're a big fan of President Obama, you just got to be high-fiving yourselves and high-fiving the president right now, especially if you are part of the gay, lesbian, transgendered community. The Supreme Court have ruled that same-sex marriages are now legal in the U.S. Yes, in all 50 states, it is now okay for you to legally get married. This is something that has just been a fight, a heated fight at that, for many years now, for many decades, but it really intensified, honestly, I would say within the past 10 to maybe 15 years. And you just talk about a huge victory for the lesbian, gay, transgender community, to the point that, I mean, you just look at it just all the way around. Everybody wins. The Democrats, everybody wins. I mean, this really is just a huge sign that North America is changing, that the times are truly changing. And it's really nice to see that we're getting to a point right now in North America where racism, bigotry, discrimination, hate discrimination and all that, sex discrimination. It's really awesome to just be living in this time in North America right now where there's just so much great positive change that is coming about. You know, as soon as this ruling had came about, I couldn't help but have a big smile on my face, because I personally know people that are gay that just are ecstatic over this news, but I couldn't help but feel happy and proud for them. But at the same time, I also couldn't help but feel just a little bit sad. And the reason why I feel a little bit sad is because I wish that Harvey Milk would have lived long enough to see this historic day come about. Those of you that are not familiar with Harvey Milk was a gay rights activist, a politician. He was on the board of supervisors in California, and he was killed tragically. He was assassinated basically because he was gay. Those of you that are not familiar with him, I promise you, if you go out of your way to check out the biopic on him, it's called Milk, and it stars Sean Penn as the lead character. That movie was nominated for so many awards. I mean, back in the mid-2000s, Sean Penn, he was just so white hot with like a successful string of like hardcore drama movies, and Milk was like at the top of that list. I mean, as far as the past 5 years go, it's been kind of rocky, but you go back to that early 2000 period, anywhere from 2000 to like maybe 2008, 2009. I mean, the guy was just putting out some really top-notch quality films, independent films, underground stuff. So check that out, Milk. It came out in 2008, but I just couldn't help but kind of feel a little bit sad and say, man, this is exactly what Harvey Milk was fighting for. This is exactly what he wanted, and it sucks that he didn't live to see this moment come about. So, you know, all of you gay, lesbian, transgendered people that's out there, hopefully now that I've said that, and you definitely know about Harvey Milk, hopefully going forward, maybe there could be some type of a gathering, and maybe there could be some type of a best well wishes, a prayer, something that can be done in tribute to Harvey Milk, because this is definitely something that he was pushing for. This is something that he was very passionate about, gay equal rights just all across the board. But great historic news hearing this come about. The times are a-changing, just like that Bob Dylan song, man. Wow, insane right there. Let's switch it up a little bit. Let's talk about Bill Cosby. He has been making headlines in a very, very bad way. As you all know, women have just continued to come left and right, accusing Bill Cosby of sexually assaulting them, raping them while they were under the influence of some type of drug, whether it's alcohol or they were slipped a Mickey, a roofie, whatever the case may be. We have women that are just in the double digits that continue to come out and are saying, Bill Cosby, he sexually assaulted me, he raped me. And, you know, it's one thing if you have one woman, 2, 3, you can kind of make the argument, well, they're jealous of this person's success. They want to basically extort this person out of money. That's what this is really about. But anytime you get into a situation where you're in the double digits, where it's more than 10, where it's more than 20, where it's more than 30 that have come forward and are saying this, you just have to believe that at the end of the day, this has to be true. You have people that have come forth financially, they are established, they are respected. You just look at the names of the people that have come out there. It's ridiculous. And unfortunately, as far as the limit of stature, as far as trying to file charges against Bill Cosby, that has expired. It has expired years and years and years ago, wherever the event took place, for that respected city, for that respected state. So Bill Cosby is very lucky right now that he doesn't have any charges that's filed against him, although you do have lawsuits that are coming at him left and right. It should be interesting to see what direction that goes. But something that came about around 2005, of which the court documents were sealed, it seems as though this particular case that happened years back could come back to bite Bill Cosby in the you-know-what in a huge way, as his lawyer basically said if the documents that were supposed to be sealed, if it were to be released to the Associated Press, if the Associated Press gets their hands on this, it could be very detrimental to Bill Cosby, as it talks about drugs, apparently adultery, a whole bunch of other stuff that was going on in there. So that's a situation right there. We're going to continue to stay on top of that. If you're a Bill Cosby fan, you just can't help but feel for this guy. I know that he was brought up on last night's Real Time with Bill Maher on HBO, as great panel of guests that were on there, but in particular Michael Eric Dyson was on there. And for you Michael Eric Dyson fans, he actually had wrote a book many years back about Bill Cosby. The title escapes me right now. I believe it was called Is Bill Cosby Right? But it's kind of like a contradiction now. It's a great read. I recommend you check it out if you haven't already. But when you read that and you just think about what's going on today, but go out of your way if you have HBO, HBO on demand. Check out that episode of Real Time with Bill Maher. They went in depth about what's going on with the Bill Cosby fiasco. It was a great roundtable discussion, but this is definitely something that we're going to continue to stay on top of for you guys. I promise you. With Walking Dead former star Jon Bernthal confirmed to play Frank Castle on the second season of Netflix's Daredevil, the reports have just been running rampant on what exactly is going on with Frank Castle. Originally, it was being put out there that Frank Castle was maybe going to be appearing for 1 to 3 episodes, but now it's looking as though, based off early reports that are coming in, that the second season of Daredevil is pretty much going to be all about Daredevil versus the Punisher. No doubt this is probably going to be setting up the seeds to be planted when Marvel eventually does launch the new Punisher series. I'm sure you guys had heard about that. A lot of fans, they wanted for Mr. Thomas Jane to come back and play the Punisher again, but it doesn't look like that's going to be happening. Hey, I'm fine for the former Walking Dead star. Not to mention, he's from Washington, D.C., right here in the nation's capital. Got to represent for fellow D.C. natives. I'm ecstatic at the casting of this, as it's pretty much been confirmed that there will be an appearance by Elektra and Bullseye based on some audition tapes that have leaked over the past several weeks. So could this be a situation where Daredevil and the Punisher are going after the same person? Could it be they're both going after Bullseye, and this is how Daredevil and the Punisher collide, if you will? And then you also can't help but wonder, how exactly does Vincent D'Onofrio's Wilson Fisk character fit into the whole equation? I don't know about you guys, but like, this first season of Daredevil, it has such high replay value. I'm like continuing to watch it over and over and over again. Those of you that's curious on my take of the series, I know there's been a few of you all that have asked for my thoughts. I will actually be reviewing the first season of Daredevil in the next coming week, so do stay tuned for that, as you'll be able to catch that exclusively on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/the RCWR Show. But big news right there. Hey, it sucks that we couldn't get Jason Statham to be Bullseye, but you all, I'm sure by now, know exactly how he feels about doing Marvel flicks, as we did cover that on a previous edition of the RCWR Show Extra. If you missed it, piggy on back, check out all the extra editions of the RCWR Show. This is top-notch quality, after all. A-okay. All right, let's go ahead and let's continue on. Taylor Swift. I'm sure you guys had heard about, 2 weeks ago, where Apple had said, hey, we have this new streaming service that we want to put out there. We want for people to be able to take advantage of this, so much so that we want to have this continue for about 3 months. Now, that's unprecedented. That's unheard of. A 3-month trial, that's like, That's rare that you hear something like that nowadays. Now, for music lovers or people that just love trying out a service before they pay for it, to hear 3 months, that's pretty damn good. But for artists like Taylor Swift, it's like, okay, that sounds good, but what's going on with the artists, especially the independent artists, those artists that are looking to make their first big break, and they could be sitting on a hit, and guess what? They don't get the royalties because of the way Apple has it set up. As for those 3 months, the artists are not getting paid. Taylor Swift had a huge problem with this, and as a result, she refused to have any of her music, including her newest album, 1989, be on Apple until the situation was resolved, not just for her, but for younger artists, newer artists that were going to be coming out there. And Apple, they tweeted her and they said, look, we're listening. We're going to make some changes. And changes were made. Apparently, they have now set something up where the artists will be paid during the trial period. Now, those of you that may be like, well, Taylor Swift must have got some type of an exclusive deal. She says that she did not get an exclusive deal. She said that the deal that was basically given to her is practically the same deal that has been given to all the artists. They are all being compensated during the trial period. So I mean, that's big news. That is great big news right there. Another victory right there for Taylor Swift. I wonder if with her negotiating ability, I wonder if maybe we can kind of get her into the White House and see if she can maybe figure some stuff out as far as what's going on with ISIS or whatever. See if we can get some peace going on between ISIS, America, and all that other crap, man. But great news right there. You just can't help but like Taylor Swift. F yeah, she's pretty freaking badass. She definitely has my respect, I'm telling you. Let's switch things up a little bit and let's talk about wrestling. So earlier in the week, Bret Hart, he recently conducted an interview with Sports Illustrated. Now, as many of you all that follow professional wrestling know, or sports entertainment, you know that WWE superstar Tyson Kidd is related to Bret Hart through marriage. Now, I mention that because as many of you Tyson Kidd fans, many of you WWE fans know, Tyson Kidd was seriously injured in a match against Samoa Joe. The move that put Tyson Kidd out on injury for at least a year or more for the foreseeable future was Samoa Joe's finishing maneuver, the Muscle Buster. Now, for those of you that are not familiar with Samoa Joe, you're not familiar with his Muscle Buster finisher. Basically, this is a move where he picks up the opponent and their chin is tucked between the back of his neck, and the way that he picks them up, he basically has their head over him tucked in, and he's got their legs spread eagle wide, and he's got it wrapped around. He walks around the ring for a little bit, and then he does a backdrop. All right, and unfortunately, that's a move right there where when you see it, you're like, woo, damn, that's pretty damn intense. That's pretty freaking awesome. Never before have I heard of anybody getting injured from the Muscle Buster before. Tyson Kidd, unfortunately, became one of the first to get injured by the Muscle Buster, and it has Bret Hart pretty upset, as you would imagine, as he calls Tyson Kidd a phenomenal performer, a great in-ring talent, and that WWE, they are seriously at fault for this because they did not give Tyson Kidd enough of an opportunity to plan the match properly, to really make sure enough time and emphasis and precaution was taken in planning out key moves during his match with Samoa Joe, in particular the Muscle Buster. Bret Hart has jumped out there and he's basically said that Samoa Joe was reckless in handling Tyson Kidd and that the move should be banned. And it has a lot of people talking. A lot of people, they're like, Samoa Joe, what the hell, that move, blah this, blah that. And look, I've seen so many and I've heard so many different takes on this. I think this is just my honest take. to each its own. But my honest take when it comes to this is, you know, that's the thing when you get in the ring. Anything can happen. Something weird could happen where if it's not this move, it could be a drop kick. If it's not a drop kick, it could be a clothesline. I mean, hell, for Christ's sake, think back to the match that we had with Sami Zayn and John Cena weeks back. Sami Zayn went out and he's trying to get the fans wound up. He's throwing his arms up in the air. He's excited. He gets this big opportunity. It's his first major singles match on main WWE programming against a top WWE star. And as he's getting excited, trying to get the crowd worked up, and he throws his arms in the air, he tears his rotator cuff or whatever. He ends up needing surgery. So any and everything can happen. It's part of the business. Now, I will admit that there are moves that are out there that are very, very dangerous, that maybe should not have any business being done in the ring. Styles Clash comes to mind. I don't care what anybody says, as awesome of a move as that is. I look at the Styles Clash and I just be like, ooh, great move, but every single time I look at that move, I always go, is the other person okay? Did they come out of it okay? I always say that. I've been saying that for years. I might not say it vocally, but in my head, I'm saying, oh, that was sweet. But, oh, is the other person okay? And I'm happy when I see that they're moving around, they get up, all that good stuff. So if it's not the Muscle Buster, it's going to be something else. But you would think that going forward, WWE is probably going to be looking at what went down, and they're probably going to be saying, hey, Samoa Joe, you need to take it easy with that move. You know, you cost us one of our great utility workers. And speaking of utility workers, I definitely, and there's nothing wrong with being a utility worker. I think Tyson Kidd is freaking phenomenal. I would hope that in the near future, with guys that have proven that anything can happen as far as being a not so typical WWE superstar, you know, the big beefy guys. I think Daniel Bryan proved that anything can happen within the WWE. I hope that Tyson Kidd has a speedy recovery, and who knows, maybe one day he might be a WWE champion. But I know for now, nothing but thoughts, prayers to him for a speedy recovery. Hey, if I don't see him back in the ring, that's fine. I can live with that. At this point, I just want for the man to have a healthy, speedy recovery. So hopefully that happens. And special shout out to Natty, who follows us on Twitter, as Natty, definitely from the bottom of my heart over here, as I'm sure many of your fans and Tyson Kidd's fans, I think we all are in unison. We're praying for Tyson Kidd. He did have surgery earlier this week. It was a success. Basically, he had the same type of surgery that Edge, Steve Austin had, and as you would imagine, they did reach out to him to give him advice and everything. So nothing but the very best. You got to feel for Cesaro as well. It's like, what's next for Cesaro? He was relying so heavily on Tyson Kidd. They had the whole tag team deal that was going on. What's going to happen with Cesaro now going forward? Should be interesting to see. We'll talk a little bit more about that on this week's Tuesday podcast edition of the RCWR Show, which you can catch Tuesdays live, 10 p.m. Eastern on Spreaker.com. And of course, if you cannot join us live, you'll be able to scoop up episodes on the downloads for your respected devices: iTunes, Spreaker, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio. Good God Almighty, we are everywhere. Check out all the links in the episode description down below. We're talking about injuries. Let's stay with injuries. Jamie Noble, boy, woo! Jamie Noble got injured this week. Brock Lesnar, when you get in there, you got to be prepared to get a little bit roughed up. Fortunately for Jamie Noble, he got roughed up pretty bad. He has a broken rib or whatnot, and he's going to be out for a little bit. Now, we still don't know if this is just a storyline angle or if this is the real deal. Take it for what you're hearing, but you hear that, you're like, what the hell is going on here? We got, like, let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the... It's insane, man. It's insane. Let's talk about TNA Wrestling. We got to go in strong when we're talking about TNA Wrestling right here. If you did not watch TNA Wrestling this week, you missed a very monumental segment as TNA Wrestling co-founder Jeff Jarrett, King of the Mountain, he made his return to the TNA organization. Yes, for the first time since he resigned from the company, yet he still is an investor in TNA Wrestling. Let's make sure we stress that. We need to emphasize that. He is still an investor in the TNA product. He made his return after resigning from the company. What was that, guys? Like back in 2013 or 14? I want to say 2014 it was. And just from that time to now, he's just been building up his Global Force Wrestling brand. They've been doing their series of live shows at baseball stadiums in North America. And, it's going off to a rather decent start. Some would kind of question what's going on with the attendance figures and the roster that's being used right now. That's a completely different topic for another time, which we'll talk about. I believe we talked about it this week, actually, on our podcast. Check it out when you guys get a chance. But Jeff Jarrett made his return to the company. Now, he did reveal in a recent interview how the return to the TNA Wrestling organization came about. He basically said he was at a Global Force Wrestling base brawl event, and after the event was over, he was on an airplane going to next city or whatnot, and he had got a text message from somebody in TNA saying, hey, can you come in on a conference call with us? We want to pitch something to you. And at first, he just shot it down, but the more and more he thought about it, he was like, well, do they understand where my mindset is right now? What exactly do they want? What do they hope to gain by talking to me? Well, they know where I'm at. I just care about Global Force Wrestling. What the heck? Finally, the curiosity killed the cat, and he went in on the conference call, and they basically told him, look, we would love for you to pop up at Slammiversary, and we would love for you to wrestle one more match. And Jeff Jarrett was like, no, it's not happening. I'm not coming back. Forget about it. But the way that they pitched it to him, they said, look, it's Slammiversary, not to mention this is a company that you helped find, and we're bringing back the King of the Mountain match. It's a match that you pretty much created that was really popular in the early days of TNA. And it's like making its first return after being on a sabbatical or leave of absence, if you will, for X amount of years. And finally, Jeff Jarrett said, all right, one more time, one more match. Because the way Jeff Jarrett has been feeling, as far as what he's been expressing in recent interviews, he's pretty much saying as far as his in-ring days, he's done. He's just mainly concerned about pushing the Global Force Wrestling brand. He just wants to focus on the behind-the-scenes aspect and all that, production, booking, all that. And so, Jeff Jarrett, he's going to be at this Sunday's TNA Slammiversary event. Hey, I'm ecstatic right there. Like I said earlier in the week, you just can't help but look at this move. And look, you don't have to be an expert in professional wrestling to be able to put two and two together and say to yourself, by this move coming about between Jeff Jarrett, TNA, no doubt this creates some type of dialogue between the two companies as far as some type of talent exchange, as far as doing a super show together. Both companies, I think, need each other right now. TNA has been a struggling brand for the past several years. They had an identity at one point, but that identity got lost due in part to certain hirings that came about that basically took the great progress that the company was making, and it basically went backwards, and it went in a direction that just left you scratching your head saying, what exactly is this? So TNA, they've been struggling to find their identity. They have been struggling to make their presence felt as they're on this new Destination America network. They've been on there for 6 months now, but now you hear this news that's coming about where they could be dismissed. by Destination America come this fall, which we've covered extensively over our shows the past several weeks. So you just hear all this stuff that's going on, and you just look at TNA Wrestling. Great performers. You want for the very best for those men and women. You want for the best for the production crew, but so many poor decisions have been made in management that just leave you questioning how much longer is TNA going to be in existence. And then you look at what's going on with Global Force Wrestling. It has not proven itself yet, and the first impressions that it's put out there so far has people going, yeah, your name might be Global Force Wrestling, but nothing's changed. It's just like TNA, but it's not TNA the Asylum years, the Nashville years. It's TNA light of basically what is going on with the product currently. So as Global Force Wrestling is struggling to make its mark as the next great alternative in professional wrestling and sports entertainment, honestly, it's at a point right now where TNA and Global Force, they both need each other. They could benefit so tremendously from working with one another. There's no doubt in my mind by this move that future collaborations will be happening in the weeks to come. Speaking of Slammiversary, Brian Fritz, he has reported that according to his sources that the Cowboy, James Storm, and Magnus, they will be done with the TNA Wrestling organization as of this Sunday's Slammiversary event. Now, James Storm has been telling people all week long openly that Slammiversary is going to be his final commitment with TNA, that he's pretty much going to be done after that. You hear that, and then you hear what's going on with Magnus, and you're like, wait, what? Interesting tides that's going on with the company right now. I'm sure many of you know Low Key. He's now gone from the TNA Wrestling promotion. Samuel Shaw, former RCWR Show guest, Gunner. Those guys, they recently had departed from TNA Wrestling. They weren't fired. It was just basically a situation where creative has nothing for you. And then you just think back to a couple of months prior, you had Samoa Joe exit, and now you're hearing the rumblings that Austin Aries' contract with TNA is supposed to expire, if not at Slammiversary, maybe at the next batch of TNA taping. So I mean, you just combine all this news that's going on right now, and I gotta be brutally honest with you guys, TNA really cannot afford to lose Austin Aries, the Cowboy, James Storm, Magnus. They really can't afford to lose those guys right now. Now, granted, spoiler alert for those of you that did not watch this week's TNA Wrestling, you may want to pause right here. But for those of you that did watch TNA Wrestling, right, we saw the return of Magnus. We saw the return of Velvet Sky. You look at a guy like Matt Morgan, the Blueprint Matt Morgan, and as former RCWR Show guest Joey Ryan had said it the last time we interviewed him, if Joey Ryan was running TNA, and he knows a thing or two about running a company, hello, Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, he would have Matt Morgan been a multi-time champion already. So, I mean, it's happy to see and hear that Matt Morgan is back, but to see guys like Samuel Shaw, Gunner, Low Key gone for like the fourth time with the TNA promotion, Samoa Joe rolled out, you think about Frankie Kazarian, Christopher Daniels, AJ Styles. I mean, it's just getting to a point right now where you're like, what exactly is going on with TNA? Because as far as a young roster, and a very good roster at that, of young and up and coming guys, I mean, other than Jesse Goddard's, and I guess you could kind of look at Robbie E., right? Who else do you have on there? You have Ethan Carter III. You got a returning Matt Morgan. I guess you can go with the veteran MVP, right? But we should really kind of focus on young folks. There's really not that many young folks that's there. You know what I'm saying? So, interesting tides that's happening right now. Interesting tides and timing as far as the TNA Wrestling promotion. One thing is for certain. I know that's a lot that's out there. That's a lot of heavy stuff to put on you all's plate right now to get you guys thinking, get you guys talking. Of course, a lot of the stuff that's being reported, it could just be speculation. But one thing is for certain. Slammiversary, baby, is this Sunday, June 28th. And we will be coming on live here on YouTube and on Spreaker.com after Slammiversary goes off the air to cover the event. So make sure you join us for that. It's going to be fantastic. We'll be coming on at 11 p.m. Eastern or immediately after Slammiversary goes off the air. Phone lines will be open. We'll have the chat room. Man, the whole 9 yards. So make sure you join us for that and represent. If you cannot join us live, I definitely want to hear from you guys that saw the Slammiversary event. You can leave us a voicemail message on our website at infinity1productions.com. That's with an E. Put in the actual number 1, infinity1productions.com, and click on the RCWR Show voicemail tab and leave your message about 90 seconds or less. Let us know what you have thought about the event. And also, if you are going to be checking out the live show, make sure you come check out our Facebook page, as we created the event on there, and let us know if you're going to be going, because we definitely want to try to look out for you and show you some love. So make sure you're interacting with us and our event posts on our Facebook page, which you can find Infinity One Productions, still with an E, but this time spell out one. All right, so other pieces of news that we need to talk about. It looks like the way things are looking right now, we have Van Halen. They are going to be making their return on the road. In case you guys might have missed it, let me actually pull it up for you guys, as they just announced that they will be co-headlining this year's Music Midtown Festival in Atlanta, Georgia. The band will be joined on the weekend of September 18th through the 19th by co-headliners Elton John, Drake, and Sam Smith. Now, there is a early bird 2-day general admission. Tickets for that are $136, and that's while supply lasts. And then there's a regular 2-day general admission tickets fee, which is $156. Those of you that are curious, VIP packages are available. Check this out, $600 for the VIP ticket. That basically gets you admission to the festival, VIP entrances, complimentary food, beer, wine, preferred stage viewing areas, centrally located lounge area, private air-conditioned restrooms. Ooh. First opportunity to purchase VIP packages for 2016. There's also a super VIP package, which is $1,200. As far as that goes, if you guys think maybe you're going to be able to meet Van Halen or some of the other guys, no, doesn't look like it. How jacked up is that? When you hear that, you're like, oh, well, do I get to meet the? No, you don't get to meet the band. No, sorry guys. All right, so in other pieces of news, if you are a Jon Stewart fan of The Daily Show, as we speak right now on the Comedy Central website and on their app, if they have it, for the next 42 days, you can check out every single Daily Show episode from when it first premiered in 1999. Imagine that. It's like been almost 20 years. How about that? I mean, that's just insane right there, to think of how long Jon Stewart has been on the air. This is basically to build up his final appearance on The Daily Show, I believe happening August 7th. Definitely the first week in August, but there's not going to be that much of a break in between, kind of like what's going on with David Letterman now that he's done his Bon Voyage. We won't have the Stephen Colbert Show until September, but the way it's looking for Jon Stewart, his last show will be that week in August. You'll pretty much just have to go 3.5 weeks without new episodes of The Daily Show before He comes back with the new host. Unfortunately, his name escapes me right now. Forgive me, guys. It's rare I check out The Daily Show, but when I do, I have a great time. I'm definitely representing right now, trying to check out as many episodes as I can before Jon Stewart rides off into the sunset one last time. But check that out if you are a fan of Jon Stewart, and definitely represent, all right? And other than that, boys and girls, I think we did a phenomenal good job on this edition of the RCWR Show Extra. We pretty much covered all the topics for this week. As we mentioned, we're going to be doing our thing with Slammiversary this Sunday night, so make sure you represent and check us out. Lastly, I do want to share you all's feedback. That's an important thing. We're now doing something new from time to time. We're going to be doing, I'm going to just dub it RCWR Show Feedback. If you guys have a better name that we can use, because that might be a little bit too long, let me know. But I want to try to get like a new hashtag out there for RCWR Show Feedback. I don't know, maybe we could call it that. RCW Show Feedback. I don't know. I don't want to do any copyright infringements or anything. So you guys that's out there, if you come up with something clever, let me know. But I definitely want to end the show with you all's feedback with regards to some news that we had shared first on our podcast edition of the RCWR Show. And that feedback had to do with some news concerning the future of the RCWR Show on Monday nights. And in case you guys had missed it, as it is an excerpt available on the YouTube channel right now, I basically had went into great detail about the decision that was made as far as, for the time being, no more Monday night editions of the RCWR Show live on YouTube. Now, I'll put a link in the episode description here so you guys can check it out, but I just want to just show some love to those of you that went out of your way to comment. To Joseph Phillips, who said, "Best of luck, Lee. Thank you for all the great shows," or "Thank you for all the," yeah, he said that kind of wrong. I had to clean it up there for you. "Best of luck, Lee. Thank you for all the great shows." Also got to give it up to Jeff. Jeff said, "I know what you mean. Hope it all works out." I'm sure it will. Also have to give a shout out to Champ 2919. "Definitely understandable, Lee. I'll miss your Monday night shows, but will always support the show. Be well, my friend." I'll read just a couple of more. Got to give a shout out to Mario, who says, "Get better, Lee. Nothing but respect to you." Native Star, "Hope all is well for you too," as he was referring to myself and the missus. And, you know, just overwhelming support. Lena, definitely appreciate the support that you sent to me on Twitter. Just so many people that have just been coming out, giving me nothing but love and support, and I definitely appreciate that. But make no mistake about it, I'm not going anywhere. I mean, we're still doing the Tuesday night podcast, which is live, and it's also available on demand. So, I mean, if you can't join us live, you can always scoop it up on the downloads. We're still going to be continuing to do extra editions of the RCWR Show. So definitely, I know it's been a little bit like inconsistent. That's because of certain situations that happened the past couple of weeks, but Extra is back into rotation. So that is something that you guys will be able to depend on every single week. Okay. If you guys want to, you know, see me in the flesh and all that. And then don't also forget, we'll still be coming on live webcasts, live podcasts, simulcasts when it comes to the WWE pay-per-views, TNA pay-per-views, Ring of Honor. We're definitely going to try to do a better job in covering their pay-per-view events. Global Force, whenever they get everything and anything and everything together, you know. So, I mean, I'm not going anywhere. It's just as far as YouTube Monday nights, we're just taking a little bit of a break. I could bring it back in the fall. You never know. We might do like a season premiere, season finale type of deal where we're back for like 4 months, 5 months, basically leading up to WrestleMania. And then we go on a little bit of a hiatus again. I don't know right now, but for the foreseeable future, no more Monday night editions of the RCWR Show. But I do appreciate you guys' love and support as always. So thank you for the feedback. And like I said, if you guys can figure out a really cool name, let me know, and we'll do like a video graphic, all that cool stuff, jazz it up, all that great stuff. All right, so with that concludes this edition of the RCWR Show Extra for this Saturday, June 27th, 2015. Remember to follow us all throughout social media. I am on Twitter at the RCWR Show, Facebook, Infinity One Productions. That's with an E, spell out one. Visit our website, infinityoneproductions.com, with an E. Put in the actual number 1. All the links you need, in case you missed it, right down below. Make sure you share this all throughout social media, as it's one of the many ways you can spread a good word about our content. Did you know I'm now on Vine? The RCWR Show is on Vine. Check out all the links in the episode description. Very rare, but I will be coming on there posting some exclusive stuff, especially as far as like breaking news, as far as who's going to be coming on our show next. You know, give something a little exclusive to you guys, all right? So make sure you're following us on Vine if you haven't started doing so already. That is going to do it, boys and girls, until I see you for our TNA Slammiversary Super Post Show. 10 p.m. 10:50, 11 o'clock. Pretty much whenever Slammiversary goes off the air on the East Coast. It will be right here live on YouTube and on Spreaker. Join us for that. Until then, I will see you next go round. May the good news be yours. Be safe and be kind to one another. Adios.